Hey guys, I'm a recipe here. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm bringing you guys cactus with potatoes and eggs. This time of the year I have my cactus and my cactus are blooming, so guys, let's go and get it. Okay guys, so I have my cactus over here. I trimmed it last year and it has so many. They're so beautiful and so delicious. And I'm gonna cut a little. They're not too big, they're not too small. What happened when you let it big like this one, you cannot eat, so you always have to cut it like when the babies, because when they get too old it's kind of hard. For this recipe you're going to need 4 tablespoons of oil, any oil you have, 3 cups of water, 2 pounds of cactus, 4 eggs, 1 pound of potatoes, half an onion, half a tablespoon of salt to cook the nopales, and half a teaspoon to fry the nopales, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 2 garlics, and a little bit of cilantro. Okay guys, so the first thing we're gonna do over here is by peeling our cactus, but I know most people are going to buy it in the store. So the first thing we do, we gotta have a sharp knife, and you start from the top and just kind of laying your knife a little bit like that. You might take in the beginning, you might take a little bit of practice, and then from there you're just gonna go in all the sides. After you peel everything, you're just gonna go just like that, grab it and go like that. And then this, it has a little bit more, you just take these ones. Okay, so now that I'm done with one, I'm gonna keep moving with the other one. Longer to cook. Look, and I also, another tip that I'm going to tell you, we need 1 pound of potatoes, but you know sometimes it has different size, so trying to choose the little ones because this one takes a little bit less time. Also trying to pick the potatoes the same size so they all cook at the same time. Well, make sure you rinse your potatoes before you start cooking, so let's move on. So I'm gonna start by rinsing my potatoes and have my pot over here. I have 2 cups of water here, so I'm gonna put like just 3 cups of water, and it's not enough to cover. It's okay. I'm gonna start going into the stove, so start cooking by now, because I'm gonna cook the nopales and the potatoes together, and the potato does take a little longer. So I'm gonna be adding my salt, half a tablespoon, so I'm just gonna add it there, and I'm gonna go back to my stove. So I'm gonna put it in medium heat. I'm gonna just leave it over here cooking in the meantime so the water starts warming up, and I'm gonna go rinse my cactus and then start cutting it up. Now that I have already my cactus peeled and nice and clean, you guys can see, so I'm gonna cut it in half. There's 2 ways you can easily cut the cactus. You can cut it like in little squares, but this time because I'm making it a little bigger, I'm not gonna make it square, so what I'm just gonna cut it just like that. Trying to cut it not too thick, not too small. See how many we have here? This one is gonna reduce. It's not a lot, but even it's gonna shrink because it has some water, and when we cook it's gonna release the water. So I'm gonna cut half an onion, and I'm gonna save this one, and this one is also gonna be for cook the nopales. I already have my cilantro here, and I already rinsed it out, so I'm just gonna chop it because I'm gonna put it when I cook my nopales. Alright, so I already start chopping my nopales, and by now my potato seems to be boiled, and you see because it's not covered all the way around, so the potatoes kind of half. So I'm gonna flip it to the top, and it cooks kind of even. And when I put my nopales, it's gonna cover. Okay guys, so now that I have my potatoes over here in the water, make sure that your water start boil by then. So I'm just gonna put my nopales, and just be careful because the water is hot. Just gonna do kind of gentle. Now I'm gonna have my stuff on medium heat. I'm gonna add my cilantro, 2 garlics, half an onion, and for this point I'm just gonna let it cook for 30 minutes. Maybe sometime I can come and stir it, but that's pretty much, so we're just gonna leave it like that. So I let my nopales to cool down a little bit, not completely cool down, but that's okay. So I'm gonna go drain it. It's still a little bit warm, but just give it like 10 minutes just so that way the potatoes gonna soften a little bit more. I'm gonna leave my cactus drain in here, and I'm just gonna remove my potatoes. So I'm not gonna longer need my garlic, so I also gonna remove my garlic, and I also am going to remove my onions. I don't need the onions this anymore. I'm not gonna rinse the nopales because I don't want all the flavor to go away, so just gonna let it drain in just like that. Now we're gonna start assembling our nopales, and I'm gonna cut this onion like in little squares. And this is just a quarter of an onion. Just gonna put it here. And what I said again, if you had time to let it cool down a little bit, the nopales or the cactus, you can. This one is still a little bit warm because I don't want to wait too long. It takes a little bit too long. So we're just gonna try to peel it. If you want, you can peel it, or you can just leave it like that, but I am going to peel it. And I'm gonna do the same with every single one. I already peeled my potatoes. They're still a little bit hot, but when you do this, just be careful. If you have the chance to let it cool down, let it cool down. Otherwise, just if you can handle it, go ahead. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna cut like a little squares. Just like that. There, in the meantime, my nopales are draining, so all the water drains. Okay, so now we're just gonna go move to the stove to start frying on onions and assemble everything together. Okay, so we're gonna start by preparing our pot. 4 tablespoons of oil, any oil you have for your choice. So there we have. We're just gonna let it to warm up. Now I'm gonna start by preparing all my eggs. I'm gonna use 6 eggs, crack it and put it all together. And for this point, we're just gonna scramble the egg, and we are going to leave it like that. So now that I have my pot already warm, so I'm gonna go start working in my onions. I'm just gonna start by frying my onions for a little bit. As you can see, my onions start already changing, so I'm just gonna cook it probably just 1 minute. Depends on how the heat of the oil is hot. Add my nopales, and I'm gonna cook this one for 5 minutes. So my nopales been cooking for 5 minutes. I'm gonna add my potatoes. So now remember, I have like 1 teaspoon of oregano. So I'm gonna put the oregano in my hands. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna break it like that. That's gonna give you a flavor. My half a teaspoon of salt too. And this one, if you feel that needs more, you can add it up. We're just gonna stir and cook it for another 3 minutes before we add our egg. Okay guys, so I have my egg over here. I didn't add anything to my egg. Now we're just gonna put my eggs in the cactus. Okay guys, now I assemble all of my ingredients together, so that's all done. So this is, just gonna turn up the stove, and this is ready to eat. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys learned something. I grew up eating a lot of nopales. I grew up in Mexico, and I grew up around like a 50 acres with cactus, so we did a lot of cactus. And what I said again is many different ways to make it, but not only that, they're very healthy for you. Also, you guys can grow in the backyard, so that's great. So if you don't have to go buy it, and it's fresh and good. And see you next time.